This is Romo Dunze, and you're listening to the Ballsville podcast.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Welcome in, Ballsville gamers, to another episode of the Ballsville podcast. I am your host, Scott Fitzgerald, a.k.a. Lutes for Sale on Sleeper. And this episode is brought to you by theballsvillegame.com. Our games combined fantasy football and poker, which create big payouts with great odds. Welcome in, gamers. It is semifinal week in Ballsville. We had some massive upsets this week. We're going to be going over the mini games. We're going to be going over the redrafts. We're going to give you a sneak peek into Friday's episode of the big game and also Dynasty. And I'm going to introduce you to my panel, my co-host. He is Bills Mafia. Massive game this weekend against my Detroit Lions. Epic game we will talk about. He goes by Sklem on Sleeper. What is up, Sean?
Not much, my friend. How you doing?
I'm doing good. And the good old boy from West Texas, he is back in the saddle again. He goes by C-Bomb on Sleeper. What is up, Connor?
What is up? Thanks for having me.
All right. We will get into it. We're going to talk about the big games on Sunday, and we're going to get into two of them. We're going to start off with the biggest game on Sunday, and that is Sean's Buffalo Bills and Zubikis and I, Detroit Lions. So big, massive game, big, massive total. This game was kind of over. I mean, the score doesn't really tell how the game went. The Bills were in total control the whole game. They were, the Lions could not stop them with their depleted defense. Josh Allen is just a modern day Paul Horning. I mean, he can do everything. It's just amazing. This guy just can dominate. The Lions did lose David Montgomery. We will talk about that a little bit more and what I think. I think it's actually a good thing for the Detroit Lions. So stay tuned for that. But I'm going to send it over to Sean since he is our Bills Mafia and say, Sean, was it kind of an asshole tightener or not really?
I mean, we scored 14 points within the first 8 minutes of the game, and we're up 2 touchdowns. I don't think there was any reason to ever tighten that asshole for me. I mean, maybe you guys, but not my side of the world. We were great.
Even when Bonehead Campbell wanted to do the onside kick with 12 minutes to go, that didn't really tighten it up at all?
Not at all. I mean, I thought he was going to pull a Micah Hyde and run that thing back for a touchdown. So, I mean, that didn't bother me one bit either. I thought that was the dumbest move of the game. I really do. I think that they actually might have had a chance to get back into that game had they just kicked that ball away and, tried to play defense, and at least give them yardage to make it happen. Like, even if they, onside kick was 30%, 20% chance or something like that. Like, you have to announce it, everything like that.
Yeah,
now
it's way less than that.
So, yeah, why would you even take that shot? You had 12 minutes left in the game. You weren't down by more than 25 points, where it was obvious you needed more, you needed all the possessions left. There was no reason for that to me. I thought that was, I know Dan Campbell likes to be aggressive, but I think that was where he kind of leaned too far into his, style. I think he should have just held back a little bit on that one, kicked it away, and tried to play defense. I know Josh was tearing him up, but you got to give your defense a shot. You can't do what they did. I mean, they got the ball back in one play, and it was just literally a little toss to a running back and a touchdown. The offense just drove down the field, got you a touchdown, got you within a good shooting distance right there. Ride that wave for a few minutes. That onside kick literally took all the wind out of their sails right then and there.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm going to go to Connor on this one. So we'll go to the other side of the ball, and then we'll say big blow for the Detroit Lions. David Montgomery goes down with a MCL tear. They lost another couple players on defense. I mean, the defense is just totally depleted. It looks like this division is going to come down to week 18 against the Vikings. Vikings look good. Packers took care of the Sea Chickens this weekend.
Vikings look damn good in those new unis.
Yeah, those unis are pretty sweet,
Yeah,
So
I think those are my favorites right now. I don't know, those are great.
So, but Connor, I mean, I think it's actually I mean, you don't never want to say it's a good thing that somebody gets injured, but now with David Montgomery out of the picture, it's time for the Lions. I mean, it's win now or go home. It's time to unleash Jahmyr Gibbs. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. I think this is definitely good for Jahmyr Gibbs' shares in fantasy football, to bring it back to fantasy football. You're really happy he's going to get more goal line carries because Monty was hauling all of those up. He's still going to get his outside carries, his swing passes, his pitches and stuff like that he's been killing it on anyway. So I think he's your RB. I mean, if you have him, you're definitely happy in the semifinals, or if you're in the finals of a 2-week playoff or whatever you're in. You're definitely happy with having Gibbs on your squad now. I think it sucks for Monty because I'm sure he's on a lot of fantasy squads that are going to lose him. I know I have some best balls. I think we're going to talk about it a little bit, but I have some best balls that have Monty, and I don't know what to do with him now because he's been putting up some numbers that you wouldn't expect. So he's a hidden gem down there. But I'm gonna disagree with y'all's call on Dan Campbell. I think that was probably the right decision to go for the onside kick at that spot. They couldn't stop a nosebleed. They still couldn't stop them when they got the ball, whether it was at their own 25 or if it was at the Bills 25. It really didn't matter. You weren't stopping Josh Allen. You needed a big swing play. It didn't work out, and hindsight is 2020. But I think that was probably while gutsy. I think it's a decently smart move to try to go for that there. Get a swing play. You're, like Sean said, their offense just scored a touchdown. You get the ball right back to them. You never know. I don't think it's that dumb of a decision, in my opinion. The way that
I see what you're doing here. If you're trying to get me to not want to argue with your point by hyping up my team and talking about how great Josh Allen is, so I don't tell you that it's not the wrong decision. Like, no, that is definitely the wrong decision. I'm sorry, man. 12 minutes and 30 seconds or so left in the game. You can't onside kick at that point unless you're down by more than 25, 30 points.
It doesn't
necessary.
They couldn't stop them. I mean, how many points they put up? What, 48 points? And
you never know, though. I mean, Josh is prone to having that one play here and there. Like, he could throw a pick. You don't know. I mean, you didn't even give him a chance.
But it didn't look like that was happening all game. They needed a play. They were still down. They couldn't stop them. If they don't get it, you still, while it's a shorter field, you haven't been able to stop them all day. It's like the highest scoring. They had to get the ball back somehow. They had no shot of stopping him. I don't think they stopped him after that. They really didn't stop him before that. So, regardless of where they got the ball, they weren't stopping the Bills. They needed a play, and he went for it. I mean, I don't think it cost him the game. They were already down. I disagree that it's a bad move.
I can't say it cost them the game, but I definitely think it cost them a chance to have, or it definitely cost them an opportunity to get back in the game. That's what I think.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that was really like the nail in the coffin by that point, if you don't get that kick.
I disagree. I think it's nail in the coffin.
We can argue back and forth about that. I mean, I don't think it was the best move in the world, but that's not the only issue I have with Dan Campbell. I think that the clock management issue was horrible. When you're behind in a game, you need to have as much time on the clock as possible. You have to take your timeouts early. You got to stop the clock because, I mean, look what happened at the end of the game. I mean, the game was over. They still had, 2 timeouts left that they didn't even use. So, I mean, you got to burn those timeouts, especially one before the 2-minute warning. You burn that timeout. You still got the 2-minute warning. And then when you get the ball, if you don't have any timeouts left, fine. You're just running, run a play, run up and spike it. There's another timeout right there. So I don't like the saving the timeouts BS. It wastes too much time. You need time on the clock. And my whole thing with Dan Campbell is I kind of about had it with him. I think he's good changing the culture for Detroit. Definitely I'll give him credit for changing the culture for the Detroit Lions. But you're in a situation now where we all know that Ben Johnson is the engine that makes that team good. And instead of letting this, you have a golden opportunity right now to hire one of the youngest, brightest minds in the NFL. Let Dan Campbell go, grow some balls, Lions organization. Let him go, hire Ben Johnson, make him your head coach. Why give him to another team like the Bears or something and let him do well with that team? Just either keep Dan Campbell on as a mentor or whatever, or let him go, bring on Ben Johnson. That's what I think the Detroit Lions should do, because if they lose Ben Johnson, this ship has sailed. This window is closed. That's just my opinion. What do you guys think?
I mean, I'm a Dan Campbell fan, and he's a Texas A&M Aggie, so I'm always going to be a fan of his. He's a bulldog. I disagree with the take on Dan Campbell. I was listening to, I think Tom Brady was commenting on that game, and he was also for saving the timeouts. Although, I mean, like you said, they didn't ended up using them because they needed him. They had to have another drive, and they didn't get the onside kick, and so they didn't have them with 21 seconds left. I think it was that they could have used them on to drive down the field again. So, I mean, I see both sides, but I'll disagree with your assessment of Dan Campbell. But also, I'm not, you're in the know more so about the Lions than I am, so I don't know.
I like Dan Campbell. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I don't like him. I just think that, Ben Johnson's the engine that makes this go. I mean, Ben Johnson makes all these offensive calls. Dan Campbell makes the calls on timeouts. Should I go for it? Hey, Ben, we're going for it. Drop a play. I mean, that's basically what it is. So, I mean, Dan Campbell's not drawing up all these. I mean, it was brilliant, the play that Ben Johnson drew up on the fourth down, the hook and ladder that got the first time. I mean, this guy's a brilliant mind. He's like a Sean McVay. I mean, you got to keep this guy. I mean, keep him, give him freaking $15 million a year, because that's what all these other guys are making. So I think it would be a huge mistake if they let Ben Johnson go to somewhere else instead of keeping him in house. What about you, Sean?
Well, one thing on that point, I mean, we've seen brilliant minds that are on offensive gurus like Cliff Kingsbury, other names like that have not been able to succeed as head coaches. So you never know, like you said, Dan Campbell's changed the culture.
There's one in New York right now.
Yeah, as you said, Dan Campbell changed the culture, so you don't know if he gets in there and lets loose. The players are out partying or whatever else they're doing. You don't never know if he's going to be a great head coach. I think Dan Campbell has shown that he's been more than sufficient at that position.
Right, but my point is, if you let Ben Johnson go, you have to hire another offensive coordinator, because Dan Campbell's not calling the plays. So you got to bring somebody else in and hope that he's better than Ben Johnson,
or at least as good.
Yeah. So I mean, what are the chances of that happening? I don't know. And yeah, there have been coaches that have gone on and been turds, but there's also coaches that have gone on and been brilliant. So
why would you get rid of a guy that's going 12-2 and one of the toughest divisions in football, and then you're like, oh yeah, but we think this guy's going to be incrementally better to hire, and then he's not, and then you're just like, you're back at 0-16 in 2 years.
You know what? I feel if you're good, sometimes you got to make tough decisions, man, and sometimes you got to grow some balls that make some tough decisions. And I'm telling you what.
So let me ask you this though: if the Lions, like say they don't beat Minnesota and then they lose in the wild card with the expectations that team has, and they fall apart like that towards the end of the season, and Ben Johnson is most likely leaving, do you think that then that becomes a real potential scenario?
I mean, if they lose, it's not going to be because, one or two things are going to happen if they lose. If they lose, people are going to blame it on they're all banged up, or they're going to blame it on Dan Campbell made a bonehead call again. Going for it on fourth down, another crappy on. They're not going to say Ben Johnson lost this game for us. It's not going to be on him. It's going to be on Dan Campbell, and it's going to be on the injury. So Dan Campbell might get a pass.
At that point, Dan Campbell becomes the scapegoat, and they keep Ben Johnson and do exactly what you're talking about. If they lose like that towards the end of this year.
Yeah, and Grizz Tony, welcome in, Grizz. He said, the team falling apart has nothing to do with the coaching. Look at all the injuries. Yeah,
absolutely.
But the coaching decision could cost them their season. If they makes the wrong coaching decision. I mean, let's go back to last year. Should the Lions have been in the Super Bowl?
Absolutely. If they kick one field goal instead of go for it, they're in the fucking Super Bowl.
So that was a coaching decision.
Mm-hmm.
Coaching decision. So,
absolutely.
But anyways, okay, we ranted long enough. We're gonna go to the other big game on Sunday. I'll start with Connor. We had and this was horrible because I had a lot of shares of Derrick Henry and DFS. So the Ravens go out there and take care of the Steelers. and Lamar
No,
throws
no, no.
5 touchdowns.
The
And
Ravens beat the Giants. The Steelers lost to the Eagles.
Yeah.
the
Ravens beat the Giants. The Steelers
Sorry,
and the Eagles
sorry.
were the
Yep.
team that.
Ravens beat the Giants. That's right. 5 touchdowns out of Lamar Jackson, and Derrick Henry didn't get anything.
Scott's already on the boat, everybody. He's already on the boat. Couple Mai Tais deep here.
So I'll go with Connor. My bad. So who's your MVP, Lamar or Josh?
I would say it's Josh right now. I hate to give it to Sean because he's sitting right here, so I feel like I have to say Josh. But no, I do think it is Josh slightly. You know, he's put that team on his back. I mean, I had a lot of questions about that Bills offense coming into the season. As Sean knows, we even had a pub sub about them winning the division, and Josh Allen definitely proved me wrong. I'll eat crow on that. But I mean, honestly, Cooper really hasn't done much as their top receiver. Shakir's really played into that role. Kincaid really hasn't done much that we thought was going to get all the targets, and Josh has still managed to basically lock in the 2 seed in the AFC and, you know, sweep that division, which, although it wasn't as tough as what we thought was going into the season. I mean, the Dolphins have played piss poor and the Jets have played average. But yeah, I had to hype him up just a little bit.
He just couldn't say it. The Jets suck. He just couldn't say it.
But yeah, so they haven't been, you know, that division hasn't produced like we thought they were, but the Bills have exceeded expectations. So I would give it to Josh.
This was the year we were supposed to be soft rebuild, remember?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, what's up, Alex? Alex in the chat. He did say, and I am a week ahead. So yeah, the Steelers play the Ravens this week. So I had Steelers Ravens on my mind.
No, I understand why. I mean, the Steelers definitely did collapse though against the Eagles too. So who's gonna know? Who knows what happens there with the Ravens now coming to town playing like they played, and the Steelers obviously not playing great.
Yeah, we'll have to look at. I don't know the extent of T.J. Watt's injury.
Speaking of injuries, we have to spend at least a couple of minutes talking about Patty Mahomes.
Yeah, we were going to get into that. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. I mean, he's probably not going to play this week. It's a high ankle sprain.
Doesn't this sound familiar though, right? This is very similar to the playoffs a couple years ago. He had like that high ankle sprain right before the AFC Championship game, right?
Yeah, this one looks a lot worse though. I mean, he got pretzeled up and he just looked pretty bad. And he's probably like really, really in bad shape, the next day. So
do you think they got 2 games like within like 8 days or something, right? Because they play Christmas Day against the Steelers also.
Yeah.
So do you think he can come back for that game? And if so, I mean, Carson Wentz, does he win both those games if he has to play him?
If the Chiefs win this next game, I say they without Mahomes. If they sit in Mahomes, like Scott says, he had a full, like Zub said, that he had a full practice today. But if they sit him and they win, they have to sit him the next game because there's still a two game leap in front of the Bills. So there's no reason to play him if they win.
Breaks on what a full practice means on a Tuesday too. I mean, it could have been a walk
quarterback.
Yeah. So I mean, So we'll monitor that situation, but I mean, the Chiefs will be vulnerable. I mean, they're going to be vulnerable going into the playoffs with a hurt quarterback. He's not going to be as mobile. So, I mean, I'm not going to go to Sean on this because I already know what this answer is. But Connor, who's your front runner for the AFC to get to the Super Bowl in the AFC?
Mine?
Yes.
Sleeper pick the Ravens.
Taking the Ravens.
He just had to do.
He
couldn't go with the number one spot.
I like my pick in the beginning of the year was the Ravens. I really like the Ravens at the beginning of the year with Derrick Henry, but they're having problems in the back end of the secondary, which could be a problem. The Bills can't stop anybody, running the ball, but they did stop the Lions this week, so they kind of.
And where do the Lions rank rushing offensively?
They were really good.
Yeah, like the best
number, but
and we stopped them.
But my point is, until somebody can stop Josh Allen, he's got to be the front runner, especially if they could find a way to maybe leapfrog KC, but I don't even think they even need home field advantage. I mean, it's cold. It's going to be cold no matter if it's going to be KC or Buffalo. So it's just a matter of nobody can stop Josh Allen. So until somebody stops him,
I just really want it to happen in Buffalo. Like, to be honest, like just as like far as just nostalgia and aspect of it, like I really, really want the AFC Championship game, if it's the Bills are in it, to have it in Buffalo, so that if they win that game and they could celebrate the AFC champion like at Buffalo Stadium. You know what I mean? I just think that would like be so amazing. The bye is important as hell. Absolutely.
Okay, let's get into last night's game. I mean, one was. Well, I think a lot of us were looking at more just one game, the Minnesota-Chicago game to see.
There was another game?
No. Was going to lose. Yeah, unfortunately, there was another game. It was the Brock Bowers game, I guess. So that's really
not really.
Not really, but that was the only guy I was really tuning in to see. I mean,
I would say Bijan probably was the only one that really came out of there with any love. Really.
Drake London wide open touchdown.
Yeah. So, but I want to run something by you guys. So. Let's just say hypothetically Minnesota can sneak out that first round bye, win the division, go into the playoffs, and let's just say they make it to the NFC Championship game and they lose to like Philly. Okay, Sam Darnold plays great all through the playoffs, looks great. Sean, what do the Vikings do next year at quarterback?
I think they've already got their plan. He's just hurt. I think they still move on to JJ. I mean, Darnold's not going to take a 1-year deal again. So, like, they're not going to want to sign a long-term contract with Darnold. You know, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's unless, like, they just don't see anything out of McCarthy, which I don't think is the case. McCarthy actually looked good before he got hurt, in my opinion. I thought he threw some really nice passes. He looked like he had good command of the offense for a rookie, before that injury came to play. So, I definitely think that he's got that ability, and I think their trust. So I just don't understand how they would go ahead and move on to Darnold, especially being that they've got basically the quarterback whisperer at head coach. You've got the kid on a rookie contract there. Don't pay $1 million or millions of dollars to Darnold and cap your salary. Go out there and build around the rookie now, because you already have the core to be at this level. All you need to do is add a couple more pieces, and now you got the money to do it, like a T. Higgins or something crazy, you know what I mean? Like, go out there and snag like a really top end defensive end or something like that, like Max Crosby, some shit like that, and like build up around this new rookie that's going to come in, because I think he's got just the same amount of ability as Sam Darnold does. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't give the kid a shot. You drafted him for that reason alone. Darnold did exactly what you wanted him to do, and if he's on a 2-year contract, you can get a nice little pizza action for a trade out of him.
I think Darnold did more than what you expected them to do. What about you, Connor?
Yeah, I agree. I think he did more, but I think the only way they keep with him next year is if he wins the Super Bowl. And I think that's the only – if they win the Super Bowl,
if that happens, you have no choice.
Yeah. Grizz Tony says they could franchise tag. You rarely see teams franchise tag quarterbacks because the price is so high. It's like 40 millions or something like that. Just it's like, average QB price or whatever.
And again, they have somebody there. This kid's still learning under this, even though he's not physically learning, he's mentally learning this whole season too. So it's not like you don't have an answer, or what you thought was the answer when you drafted him already on the roster. There's no reason to invest all your eggs into that quarterback basket just because another guy who was a cast off looked good in your offense for like the 5th time.
Okay, so do you have anything else to say, Connor?
I was just looking up the price for a franchise tag in 2024. It was $38.3 million. So I don't think they're going to be giving that to Sam Darnold for 1 year.
No, if that's the case, they're going to sign him for a long-term deal and then maybe try to trade him if he does well again this year, and JJ's looking good behind him.
Yeah.
So I'll push back a little bit on this, and I'm going to say, look, if they can make it to if they're rolling and they can make it to the NFC Championship game, even if they lose, Sam Darnold plays good throughout the playoffs. Imagine what you could get in return for J.J. McCarthy. I think Sam Darnold's not an old man; he's still young. He knows the system. He's a veteran quarterback, and not super old.
Josh, ain't he? Maybe a year older.
Yeah, he's right there. He knows the system. He doesn't have to go through the growing pains. He has a connection with the receivers. I mean, look what he did with Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison's a flat-out stud. We're still waiting on Hawkinson.
But he still has his moments. he still has his moments, man,
But you
where
know
he does
what?
not look
JJ
great.
McCarthy's gonna have moments too.
But
So
JJ McCarthy has a higher ceiling.
you don't think Sam Darnold has still? Sam Darnold's a pretty good quarterback. He's got a pretty high ceiling still.
I don't think so. I mean, physically,
He was
yes,
the
he's
lead,
got the
he was
attributes,
leading
but
the
I don't
league
think
in,
he's got what it
he was
takes to
leading the
be a
league in
quarterback.
all passing halfway through the year. I'm just
So was
saying,
Daniel Jones like last year. I mean,
come on, that's a little bit of a different situation here.
I mean, it's almost kind of the same if you
I think
think
it was
about
Sam
it.
Howell. I think it was
That's not
Sam Howell
close.
last year. It was
That's
Sam Howell last year. That's who it was.
It's not even close. Not
But
even
this is the
close.
deal. But that's the thing, though, is I mean, I think I stick to what my original thought was, is that this kid JJ has what it takes to take us to the next level, and I stick with that game plan. And all that this has done with Sam Darnold has allowed this kid to, you know, resurgence his career and maybe go and help another team that needs a quarterback right now. But there's no reason for them to spend the money it's going to take to keep him when they can use that money in their defensive side of the ball where they would need more. I mean, on offense, I think they're pretty close set. Maybe a good O lineman or something might come available they can snag. But there's not a lot that they need on offense. I think defensively they could improve, you know, with a Max Crosby and maybe a solid, you know, free agent safety or linebacker that's available. Who knows?
Could you imagine and you're just talking about Max Crosby, okay? Imagine the Vikings going to the Raiders and being like, hey, are you interested in JJ McCarthy? You know, I see you have Max Crosby. I see you have some high draft
So Max
pick.
Crosby's a free agent, right?
You know,
Like this is the last year he's under contract, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and why wouldn't you want to go to the Vikings sign with the Vikings? They're set to win. They got a great defense.
Exactly. So they can get him without having to give McCarthy away at all. Like they could still trade him for McCarthy, but they don't need to have Max as part of that deal. They could do whatever else. Maybe get
I'm saying they
second rounder out of the Raiders.
Raiders are going to pick early. You could trade them for Crosby. You could trade them for picks. You could trade. I'm just saying that, you know, you got an asset that's already proven. He has a good connection with the organization, with the players. I mean, if they let Sam walk and bring in McCarthy, what if he has a setback, like a major setback? Then you're
they just paid JJ, right? Look at their salary cap scenario, because that's going to be the main factor. You know, the JJ, whether or not Darnold's better than JJ right now or not, JJ is going to be a hell of a lot cheaper than Darnold is for the next 4 years. So, you know, that is a huge factor, especially paying JJ what they paid him. You know, you're not going to be able to add a whole lot more around him if you pay Darnold after you've paid JJ. Jordan Addison's rookie contract's probably coming up in a year or two. You know, you've got your defensive side of the ball. I'm sure there's people, and you know, you're going to have to sign some of these guys to keep the core around the team. Like, you don't want to sacrifice your core just to try to pay Darnold to keep him there when you have an understudy that you trust.
Yeah, but Sean, they're ready to win now. They're not waiting for 2 or 3 years. They don't care about
JJ can't win now. Look at Purdy. Purdy came into the Niners as a rookie, and they were winning now within a year. This is his rookie year, so next year he could come in and be like a Purdy year too.
Just another thought on the Vikings. I mean, what if they lose Brian Flores? Because I mean, he's turned that defense into maybe the best in the league. So if they lose him, what do we think of the Vikings next year? Are they win now? I mean, is that defense set up? Besides scheme wise, they don't have the players that are, you know, they don't have the big name players on defense. They have the scheme that is Brian Flores. So we don't know what they will be without him if he departs.
Their only saving grace might be that he's a failed head coach already in the past, and that saved them from having to lose him. You know, like the Leslie Frazier syndrome. But you know, that might be the only way he stays there, because he's definitely proven that he deserves another shot, in my opinion. Whether he gets it or not, we'll see.
We've seen failed head coaches go to college, so could be another thing for Brian Flores as well.
Yeah, true. All right, well, you just got some real talk. We don't always agree. That's what makes this show great. We're always bumping heads. All right, let's move on. We're going to get into
Except for when it comes to Josh Allen being the greatest quarterback.
We're not going to talk about the Raiders and Falcons because that was a disaster of a game. No one cared about that game. So we're going to talk about some Ballsville content. Like I said, it's semifinal weeks. Our mini games are finished, and we will bring that up right now. And I'm going to throw it over to the Connor. And Connor, do you want to run through these real quick? Give these guys their props.
Yeah, what we're looking at here. This is the big game. This is the mini league winners, right?
Mini leagues.
If you want to run down that list right there, Sean, I think that's a little bit better. So I think we had about 20 entries. These guys won their mini leagues, and then they basically wagered what they won in their mini league. So I think it was around $30. And we had about, like I said, about 20 different divisions that the winners wagered, which totaled about $600. And then there's a little bonus if you won it. And JM Hubs took it with a whopping score of 2,452.
That's actually the total for his overall season.
That's the overall season. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. It looks like for our mini league champion, we had Freeman C 2447 who got the highest overall of all 40 teams that won, and then of the 20 teams that wagered in side pot, we had Jay Morris 410. It looks like here at 243. And he won in week 15 among the wagering bonuses. So he wins the side pot of 660, and then the champion is going to receive the $100 plus the $30 bonus.
And that was all, folks. That was all on a $4 wager.
Yeah, and this is the man's team that did it for him right here. As you can see, Jared Goff saved the day right here with his 50-point performance.
And this was a little
Adams.
This is a little different than our bid leads. So our bid leads end week 15, and then you wager into week 16. These end week 14, and then you wager basically into week 15, and then the winner is announced. Big game's just a little bit different. I think the rosters are about even, but still bid money, just not as much as in the bid game. These are a little cheaper to enter. Not as many divisions, not as much money on the line, but definitely fun to play. Congratulations to all the winners that, not just one, a lot of league winners, a lot of division winners, and then our one big winner. So,
hey, what's happening? Good.
Yep, we had 20 people. We had 20 people that jumped in for the wagering, but we had 40 winners overall from the mini leagues. So, of the 40, only 20 decided to wager, but the remaining, 20 still won. So we got ourselves like a good pool of winning bets. Every single person in here did not pay more than $4 a team for this. So
yeah, and really, then we gave away a lot of free teams as well. Like Ballsville, we're all about giving back to the community. So maybe some of these guys that won didn't even pay their entry. They got it paid for them because they were on the podcast. They were typing, or a lot of other different free entries that they won last year maybe. And Zubicus said these teams drafted really early in February. So, they were, up against a wall drafting. This is before the NFL draft. This is basically probably right after the Super Bowl. Thanks to Zubicus for managing all these leads and running those. And I think they went off pretty smoothly. And like I said, congrats to all the winners.
Yeah, sorry, I'm sitting outside doing my podcast. And my neighbor came in. He's like screaming at me, "Hey, what's up? What's up?" I think he wanted to talk, but I had to shoo him away. But anyways, I wanted to say something. So these leagues are drafted way too early. And if you go down to his team, he had some pretty good players that on his roster. He's got Bucky Irving, who obviously blew up this year. He's got Rashad Bateman. That was a nice draft. Rashad Bateman was left for dead until this year. So, he got some really nice players. Brian Thomas had a great year.
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix.
This was prior to the draft too. We had no idea where these guys were getting drafted at this point.
So you can strike gold in these early drafts, and if you do a little bit of homework and research, and even looking at these guys in college. I was always a big Bo Nix fan. I was always a big Bucky Irving fan. I thought that if they got in the right situation, they can contribute for their NFL teams. But and then when they end up doing something like this, where they're key contributors, it can really help your best ball leagues.
But you didn't see Bo Nix doing this year one though.
No, but I figured, he did good enough in college that if he could get there, get to a team where they put him in right away, that there's a chance he could at least score some fantasy points. And it's best ball, so you don't have to worry about setting a lineup. So yeah, he just got in a good situation. He could have went to the freaking, he could have went to the Giants and been a disaster.
Yeah, or stud with Malik Neighbors.
Or he
Yeah.
ended up somewhere like behind a solid starter, and there was
Yeah,
no way he
exactly.
was ever going to play, and you'd just be screwed, you know.
Yeah. So congratulations to all the winners. It was a great year, and I'm definitely going to get more mini leagues next year. I didn't get in enough this year.
Yeah, I think I only got in like 2 or 3. They drafted, like you said, they drafted really early, and this was my first year actually doing best balls on Sleeper. I've been huge into best balls on Underdog the past couple of years, but this is my first year joining Ballsville as a best ball player. It is a lot of fun, especially as we're winding down the season. You're seeing all the leads you won, or some of the teams that you thought were going to be barn burners, and they're just sucking it up or whatever. So
yeah. So all right, well that's cool. That wraps up our mini leagues. We're going to get into the redrafts now, and we're going to start off with our low stakes. It's $25 buy-in, and Sean, you want to take the reins on the low stakes?
Sure. So in this one, we've got our first round of playoffs. We've got
hey, Sean, wait just a second.
Yes,
just to preface, this isn't like these are already finalized, but Sleeper doesn't go in until about like 3 a.m. this morning to where it shows the matchup. But these are all finalized scoring. It's just not showing the championship game because it's not in Sleeper yet.
Barring a 50-point stack correction, K Doggy Dog won this game.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not even that. It's just they just don't finalize them for whatever reason until 3 a.m. on Wednesday morning. So
it's
just to
preface,
these
matchups want to make
sure
they stack correct everything.
Yeah,
no, it makes sense when you have a close one. Yeah, it's definitely you want to make sure that it's right. But when you're 50-point difference, like come on, we can figure this out. We got AI now, right? We can figure out how to sort the for sure winners from the potential decisive factors.
It sucks as the winner. It sucks as the winner when you're just like, put me in the next thing so I can see it. I just want to see my name in there, and then you're like,
I want to watch the matchup. I want to look at the matchup, see my projections, like hook me up. Like I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. All right. So for these guys that are going to be sitting there chomping at the bit till tomorrow morning to look at the matchups, we've got E. Bailey took on K Doggity Dog, a 1-4 matchup, and the one got their butt kicked. And it's unfortunate because, when you're in the 1 seed, you think you're going to kill it. And then you go into the 1-4 matchup and you get beat down by 50 points. It just doesn't feel like it should have happened that way, Weensy. But, it is what it is. So sorry, E. Bailey, but K Doggy Dog, congratulations to you, my friend. You are moving on to the championship game. Next matchup, we had TC Show versus TB76, and this one was another game that was pretty much out of reach for the TC Show. Coincidentally enough, both the lower seeds beat the higher seeds in these matchups and move on to the next game. So congratulations to our good buddy Todd, who won himself a couple shawnies last night. He got himself another victory today, and he's moving his way into the next game with K Doggity Dog. Next league we got up is the Beta League. In this league, another familiar in face. There's TB right there. Our good buddy Todd sitting at the top with the 164. Unfortunately, it was not enough to beat up the 4 seed in this league, and he got the exact opposite of what he gave from Brandon 208, beating him up with a 190-86. Good job, Brandon. You are now in the championship game. The second matchup was the 2-3 matchup. We got TJ Zex versus Just Numbers. And look at that. We have another upset. Every one of our games so far have been an upset. Just Numbers 148-86 beat TJ Zex 111-24. And so Justin Numbers and Brandon 208 will be in the championship game at 3 and 4 seed. Low 3, we've got the Gamma League. And this one, our top seed was Lynn JM, who played out like a top seed and scored 216.04, the highest score we've seen so far. Whooped up on the 4 seed Huncho Jack, who coincidentally would have beat either of the other 2 squads with his 183.34. He just ran up against the buzzsaw, unfortunately. So good job to you, Lynn JM, for making that one into the championship game. Next one up, we had Billy B with the 2 seed taking on TB again, another name we hear. TB sitting there at the 3 seed. And he snuck this one out with a slight 10-point victory So the 3 seed will take on the 1 seed in this championship matchup, TB versus Lynn JM. Next one up, we got the Delta League. In this league, we had Taryn Capel sitting at the 1 seed, taking on Dad Bod 86, and the Dad Bod's on, moving into the next round with a 178.74, beating up on Taryn Capel with a 166.40. So good job, Dad Bod. Always like saying that. Next one up is a TC show versus El Super Biesto, the 2 seed versus the 3 seed. And this one played out the way that it should with the seeding, 156.40 for TC show, beating up on our good buddy El Super Biesto at 125.12. TC show versus versus Dad Bod 86 is the championship matchup, and that is the 2 and 4 seed duking it out. Next one, we have the Epsilon League Low 5. We got Jimmy Wojo in the top seed, taking on the TC show in the 4 seed, and just sneaking it out by less than 3 points is the TC show 4 seed over the 1 seed. That hurts. Man, what a victory for you, brother. Good job, TC show. Really sorry that happened to you, Jimmy Wojo. It's always got to be someone. Unfortunately, it's you. Shy Bear 45 in the 2 seed was taking on Stu 6923 in the 3 seed. And he did his job and whooped him up with a 191.52, beating up on a 173.38. So you're looking at our final matchup is the squeaking by TC show versus the Shy Bears 45. Congratulations to you two. Game 6 is the Zeta League. In this league, you got Gaio 55 holding down the 1 spot versus Jason 124 in the 4 spot. And he did his job with a 169.90. Beating Jason, who ended up with a 128.20. He is on the championship game, and who will he play? Let's find out. He's going up against either C Sims 52 in the 2 seed or Themis Popov in the 3 seed. Based on these scores, it looks like Themis Popovs with a 192.32 is going to move on, and C Sims is going to move to the kitchen for a beer and a late night dessert to make him feel better. Because Themis Popovs is going to play Gaio 55 in the championship round. Low 7, we got the Kappa League. In the Kappa League, we got Jason 124 in the 1 seed taking on the TC show in the 4 seed. And he held down his ground with a 186.36. Not even close behind was the TC show with a 111.5. So at least you knew it was over early. Good job, Jason. You took it down. Who are you going to battle? Is it going to be JoJo in the 3 seed or C Sims 52 in the 2 seed? Let's find out. It is not JoJo. Unfortunately, the first time we call his name, it's to tell him to go away. C Sims 52 is moving on to the championship game versus Jason 124. Congratulations to you two. And low 8, Omicron, we got there's JoJo again. He's coming back after that comment. He's like, I'm not going anywhere. You shut up, Sean. Listen to me. I'm right here in the 1 seed. And I'm scoring great with a 171.56 versus Grizz Tony, who couldn't even show up to give a present to the house at 117.72. He didn't even get out of the car in the driveway. He just turned around and went home to watch TV. Who is JoJo going to battle in the championship game? Let's find out here, guys. K Doggity Dog was in the 2 seed versus our good buddy Todd, TB76 in the 3 seed. And it looks like K Doggy Dog not only did his job, but did it well with the 191.90. And TB76 could not even see him. He was so far behind with a 119.82. So K Doggy Dog will take on JoJo, the 1 and 2 seed. The first time we have seen that in any of these low leagues. Low 9, we got Sigma. In this one, we got our good buddy Lutz for Sale was in the top spot. Did he take home the victory against 4 seed hashtag Prez? Yes, he did, ladies and gentlemen, with a 155.64. Very low score, but high enough. Behind him, hashtag Prez was 135.78. So Scott had a decent enough lead. He did not have to stress. In the game that who is he going to match up against? We're going to find out between the 2 seed Go Titans 8 and Finn's 0913 in the 3 seed. And Finn's 0913 in the 3 seed said, you all suck because I am going to score way more than any of you 4 teams at 195.46. And Go Titans was like, yeah, I'm just going to let you win because, you know, I have plans for next week and I really didn't want to play in that game anyways. So you go ahead and take Scott on in the championship game.
Yeah, Fitz has a good team. too. I'm a little worried about his team. He's got a good team.
You should be. He just scored 40 points more than you.
I know.
And our last and not least league, Omega, we've got Mr. Floodcue, who was in the top seed, playing Chiefs Life 13, one of our regulars in the 4 seed. And look at that. Mr. Floodcue, who had held down that top seed for so long, loses in the first round of the playoffs with a 167.10. That score would have beaten Scott, but did not beat Chiefs Life 13 at 182.72. Who is Chiefs Life going to duke it out from the 4 seed with? Well, it looks like it's going to be Carson Pev in the 2 seed, who scored a whopping highest we have seen through the entire leagues for the week, 217.8, ladies and gentlemen. I'll say that one more time because it's that amazing. 217.8 versus big time of Z420, who basically deleted this league before the game was over because he knew it was done with a 141.98. So Carson Pev versus Chiefs Life 13 is going to have a nice little battle going into the championship game.
All right. Well, that wraps up our low stakes. Congratulations to the semifinal winners, and you guys will be facing off in the finals next week. Good luck to you guys all. Great commentary, Sean. Way to break that down. So that is the low stakes. That was $25 buy-in. So congratulations, and we'll be looking forward to the results of our champion next week. So between those two players going into the finals, maybe you have an idea of what you're going to be wagering going forward. You will definitely get an alert from your game manager, and we'll be looking. The sooner you get your wager in, and we get them all put together, you can possibly be able to view the other wagering, see where you sit. So that is low. Now we are going to get into the mids. This mid was a $50 buy-in. And Connor, you want to take on the mids?
Yeah, and just to touch on what you said, so the finals is next week, but it is only 1 week finals. It says 2. Week 17, you'll actually, if you win, or even if you get second place, you can wager your money. You can wager 25%, 50%, or even all your money to win an even bigger prize, kind of like the big game is. And that's kind of what Ballsville is. You wager, like Scott always says at the beginning, it's a combination of poker and of fantasy football. You can, go all in or, split half your pot and get a bigger prize. But week 17,
payouts, great odds.
Sorry?
I just said big payouts, great odds.
Yeah, exactly. You can even get second place. You can wager your money. You won't be able to win the top prize, but you'll win an even bigger prize than what you would just a second place if you're, the highest score week 17. But I mean, there's a bunch of videos on our website. There's a bunch of videos on the YouTube that detail all the wagering processes. Alex has great documents of every single thing regarding mid states, low states, high states, big game, mini game, all of that stuff. You can find the website. Each Discord has them, or our Discord has them, and each hub has them. So if you ever
90% of the questions I get can be answered by the docs. Just so you guys, it's all there for you guys. If you don't get an answer and you're asking, just check the doc. They're all pinned in your leagues. Like every question that's answered with me is answered in the docs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, great breakdown, Connor. Thanks for breaking that down. So yeah, you gamers, please use the time this week to familiarize yourself with all the videos and all the posts on there. It definitely will walk you right through everything. So all right, Connor, let's get into it.
Yep. And so we have the 1 and 4 seed here. We got rookie 86 versus JoJo. JoJo ends up taking it with a little 40-point victory as the 4 seed. Pretty disappointing showing for the 1 seed there. We got AF Man 9 as the 2 seed versus Blanks 87 as a 3 seed. AF Man 9 ends up taking it with a nice score of 172.60. Him and JoJo will face off in the championship game in week 16. Here in mid 2 smoke, we got K Doggy Dog again, pretty popular name, versus Mike the Guy. Mike the Guy squeaks it out by a little over 3 points. Pretty nice scores overall. We got Justin Brown at the 2 seed, and then Grizz Tony at the 3 seed, and then Justin Brown ends up taking it. It looks like he was the champion last year. I don't know if that's actually true, if he just took over the the league and took over that name. But if he was if he's the champion last year and he's going in the championship game this year, that's a pretty good accomplishment there. He'll face off against Mike's the Guy next week, week 16. Here in mid 3 Sub-Zero, we got Phil 3988 versus Chiefs Life. And it looks like Phil takes another 3-point victory. 3 points seems to be a pretty popular number. He takes it down. He takes down the 4 seed in Chiefs Life. We got the 2 seed Mike's the Guy versus JoJo here. JoJo gets a little victory as the 3 seed and will face off against Phil next week in week 16.
Wow, 2 finals already for JoJo. Good job.
And two double names. Phil versus JoJo.
Yeah, there you go.
Here we got mid 4. I won't even try to pronounce that. We got Cash 3 at the 1 seed against Mr. Been Doing This. Cash 3 is able to take down his good buddy Mr. Been Doing This by a pretty good score. Here,
I'm sure he liked that.
Yeah, I'm sure he loved it. Here at the 2 seed and the 3 seed, we got Chiefs Life and Julius Papulius. I guess that's what his name is. We got Julius being able to take down Chiefs Life. It looks like Chiefs Life's coming up just a tad short in a couple of these. He looks like he made the finals a couple of times, but has been taken down in the playoffs a few times as well. So we got Julius versus Cash 3 next week in the finals. Here in mid 5, we got Pablo Escobar at the 1 seed and Mike's the Guy at the 2 seed. Mike's the Guy put up Pablo put up a really nice score, worthy of being the 1 seed, unlike what we've seen quite a bit. And then we got Mr. Been Doing This versus Cheeky. Sorry, Cheeky, you did not even crack 100, which I think is the first time we've seen that this playoffs section. So Mr. Been Doing This.
I mean, you got yourself a note a recognition, right? Good. What do they say? No, any press is good press, right?
Yeah, there's no bad press. Yep. So Mr. Been Doing This takes you down pretty easy. Him and Pablo, I think, are good friends as well. So we'll see how that game goes. There might be a little trash talk in that game. So good luck to y'all both next week in the finals.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say there will be trash talk in that.
Yeah, I think so as well. Here in mid 6, we got Eddie Money 18 versus JoJo again. Here in the seed 1-4 game. JoJo takes him down with a pretty good score of 152.44. Then we got C Maj 1231 versus Sorry for Cussing in the 3 seed. Sorry for Cussing's able to take him down with a score of 152.4 as well. So JoJo versus Sorry for Cussing in the finals of mid 6. I think that's JoJo's 2nd or 3rd finals in just mid states alone.
Yeah,
so
that's his 3rd, I think. Wow.
Yeah, pretty impressive there, JoJo.
JoJo's going to have to add MVP. JoJo MVP.
He has to finish the job. Job's not done.
Job's not done.
So here we got mid 7. We got Reptile. We got Pablo again here. I'm in the 1 seed again. He's got a couple 1 seeds here versus Do 1 in the 4 seed. Pablo scores a nice score of 168. And then we got a really, really big blowout here in the 2-3 game. Chadwick 0304 with a whopping score of 202.96. And then Mr. Been Doing This with the 3rd team of the week. He gets a nice score of 89.46. I think he's a Turdy Award winner coming up.
Absolutely. That deserves a 30 for sure right there, bro. You got beat by more than you scored.
Yeah, that's not even funny. That is quite the blowout I've seen. I have not seen a blowout that big.
I mean, that's like Chadwick just stood over the top of him and just gave him a couple of these, It looks
like Mr. Been Doing This had the whole San Francisco offense there, so I don't know.
Yeah, no doubt.
So we got Chadwick versus Pablo here next week in the finals.
I'm sure he'll come back strong in another league to make up for that devastating defeat.
Yeah. Here we got mid 8, the Scorpion League. We got Batlock versus Grizz Tony. And Grizz Tony, man, really had a great week here, even as the 4 seed with a giant score of 230.
Biggest score so far in
Yeah, that's a pretty great score. I'm sure he had some Josh Allen.
Probably
Probably.
Goff. Too.
Yeah,
Off too.
Yep, Goff. Yep. Great score there. He'll be facing off against me as I took down JoJo here in the 2-3 game. Not really a pretty decent score of 157, but not near what Grizz Tony put up. So it's going to be a tough battle for me next week.
How do you feel about
only
going
would have
into
lost by 73 points?
How do you feel about going into that championship matchup against a team that just scored 230 there, Connor?
Yeah, I mean, I think Grizz Tony's team's been putting up a fight. I'm surprised he's actually the 4 seed. I think all of us in this 1 through 4 range are actually like the same record almost all year. So it's just like by points, I believe, or it was, if not, very close to that. Yeah, I'm nervous, but at least I make money. You make money if you're in the championship game, so I'm not too worried about it. Too bad. So.
And you knocked off JoJo. He was going for a 4th championship in this mid-stakes. You knocked him out.
Yeah, I'm happy about that. I don't like that guy. I'm just kidding, JoJo.
Go Grizz Tony.
Oh man, that's not very nice. Here we got another pod lead. So these last three 8, 9, and 10 are all leads that we drafted on the pod. So if you want to watch us draft live, you can go back and watch those episodes. We did them right on the pod. Each pick we did basically a lot in detail. All these guys were in the chat watching us draft as well, and we did it a fast draft, which is unlike all the ones before. So these are fun leads to be in. These are fun leads to draft because you want to beat your opponents because you know them all.
We should let Scott do this league because this is his favorite.
Scott's got a smirk on his face. I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah,
so.
I want to take this league over right now. So this by far is my favorite league that I'm in. Look at that murderers row in the playoffs. I got the 1 seed. I was up against Cash 3 in the first semis. Beat them up a little pretty good. So I was pretty happy going into the finals. I think if I can get through the finals, I might be wagering quite a bit of shekels, for the next round. And then the second semi, you got actually a little closer of a matchup. I think it came down to last night. You got Zubikis, the 2 seed, and Mr. Ben, the 3 seed. Zub scored 177. Ben scored 152. So I'm pretty sure it came down to last night because I know I've seen some both them guys writing in chat with what players they need to do well. So I get to face Zub. It's the classic 1-2 matchup in the finals, and I'm just letting you know, Zubs, I'm coming after you.
Y'all got any side bets?
Bro.
Any side bets? Any pub sub bets on this?
I don't know.
That's a good idea.
I might have to reach out to him.
He's right here in the chat.
You don't have to reach out to him. He's right here in the chat.
What do you bring it? All right, Zubs. We got a pub sub bet.
Little pub sub bet on the side. That's nice. That's nice.
All right. So the winner of this league gets a pub sub.
Yes, sir.
All right. I love it.
There we go. It's been a while since we had one of those.
I know. Huh? That's because we got through the most of the season already. So they're all decided at this point. We don't have a whole lot more to bet on.
And then here we go. The final mid-states league. This is another pod league that we all drafted live on the pod. We got Mr. Been doing this again, a real popular name. He loved to draft with us. So did Chiefs Life. Sorry for Cussing, also a really popular name. And then obviously me and I think Sean and Scott were all drafting this league as well. Actually, I don't know if Scott drafted this one. I think this is the one we did on the week.
I think this is the one that we did as a group. Right? Is
I
this
think,
the league that we group podded?
I think that was, it's either this one or 8. One of those two y'all drafted as a group. But yeah, this was another pod league, really fun league to play in, really fun league to draft. Couple high scores here. We got Mr. Been doing this with the 175 basically. Went up against the 4 seed in Chiefs Life, but Chiefs Life was able to squeak by a little 18-point victory as the 4 seed. Another league I'm playing, I got Sorry for Cussing this time. I was able to actually have a good week here in the mid-10. So I'll face Chiefs Life up here in the championship game. And Chiefs Life is all finally able to pull through in one of his playoff matchups. So we'll see how that goes next week for me and JoJo and Chiefs Life. So good luck to y'all.
All right. Looks like Connor up against Chiefs Slice in the final there. Good job.
I'm facing him. I think in a dynasty as well, in a semifinal or one a matchup as well. So,
all right. Well, that wraps up the mid stakes. Congratulations to all you semifinal winners. We got. I'll definitely be looking at that mid stakes. There's a lot of those leagues. There's a lot of good matchups in that league. So that's definitely going to be an interesting the league to check out going into next week. So our last redraft league is our high stakes leagues. These are leagues I run along with Sean. So we're going to start off. There were definitely some good battles in these leagues, and we're going to start off with the Wolverine. We have the 1 seed JoJo against short stack, the number 4 seed, and JoJo puts up a whopping 208 points. This is another finals for JoJo. He is just on a tear going into these finals. Could be a lot of shekels on the line for him. Be interesting to see what JoJo does as far as betting into the next round with his teams. The second semi, we got Mr. Ben and our boy Love John. And Love John made it to the next round. He's off to the finals, knocking off Mr. Ben. So we got JoJo and Love John in the finals. So now we're going to go to Beast. And Beast, we have an absolute mega throbber score. We got Zay2403 putting up 232 points. Highest score I've seen so far. Up against Mr. Ben. Pretty much just laid the hammer, took him to the woodshed, and put up 100 on him. 100 over on him. So he's off to the finals. The number 2 and 3 seed are the TC Show and Colin Black. And look at that score. 5-point difference. The TC Show, he's off to the finals to see Zay in the 1-2 matchup.
I think is that matchup or that score right there, 232, is that the highest we've seen in redraft so far?
I'm pretty sure it is, yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a whopping score there.
Yeah. We're off to Gambit. And the first semi, Zay gets knocked out of this one as the 1 seed against Thrill Kill.
He needed to share some points with himself there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he needed to swap some points. This right here is a pretty big victory here. So you got Chiefs Life up against Keith Richards, 72. Keith Richards was one of the highest scoring teams throughout the year. I think he was the last week of the regular season. He was second in points overall out of all 10 leagues. And unfortunately, he gets ousted in the first semis against Chiefs Life. So you got Chiefs Life and Thrill Kill in the finals. That's Gambit. Next, we have Colossus. And up again, we got Zay. And look at that victory over Mr. Ben. Kind of an asshole tightener, and he got it through with 3-point victory. So he's off to another finals. The second semi, you got Cash 3 taking on Dougie. And Cash 3's off to the finals. And he will be facing Zay. That's Colossus. Number 5, high stakes. We have Nightcrawler. And coming in with a nice score, the 28 Wizard King, 190 over Grizz Tony, the number 1 seed. So he gets knocked off. And coming in the second semis, we got Mr. Ben finally making it through against TB76. So we got a pretty nice matchup. The Wizard King versus Mr. Ben in the finals. That's Nightcrawler. Next, we have Phoenix. In the first semis, we got Mr. Ben off to the finals again, beating up on Grizz Tony. Good semi matchup. Ben's off to the finals. In the second matchup, we have Ketting 22 at 154, and he takes down our co-host Sklem, unfortunately.
Oh,
I told you it was a paper team.
Somebody shed some tears.
Hey, at
Yeah.
least I didn't have the lowest score. That was all I was concerned about.
You put up somewhat of a fight. So off to the finals, we got Ketting 22 and Mr. Ben. That is Phoenix. We are off to number 7. That's Iceman.
Woo.
And we have the 1-4 matchup, and TD Exorm puts up 132, low score, but just enough to knock off the number 1 seed, Mr. Ben, with a sub 100 score of 98. I'm sure he's pretty upset about that. The second semi, we have even a lower score, as Grizz Tony is the number 2 seed, only puts up 83 points, and Bada Bing 6611 puts up 218 points to 83. This matchup was probably over after the 1 o'clock games, I'm sure. So off to the finals, we have Bada Bing 6611 and TD Exorm. That's Iceman. Now we go to our favorite league. That's the Deadpool League. And we have Ketting 22, another final appearance as the 1 seed, 195, nice score against Bakula. And the second semi, we got Cash 3 and Sigma 1, 2, 3, 4. And Sigma's 3 seed knocks off Cash. He will be in the finals against Ketting 22. That is Deadpool. Number 9, we have Mr. Sinister. And we have Zay 2403. He makes it again to the finals. That's with 171 over Big Blue 079. The second semis, another nice score of 190. Pablo Escobar over Cash. Unfortunately, Cash scored 178, but did not get through to the finals. So we got Pablo against Zay, the 1-2 matchup. That's Sinister. And for our last redraft, we have Magneto.
Ooh,
We
he
have
took
Chris
over his own
Tony
little
putting
score.
up a smashing score of 162.28 against Mr. Ben, who scored 72.84. He definitely had to have some Niners in there.
Or it looks like you forgot to set his lineup. I don't know if I've seen a score that low.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen a score that low, but that's not a very good showing for Mr. Ben in that semi. And the second semi, we have Twinsanity in GLC 76. GLC 76 is off to the finals. He's up against Grizz Tony. That is Magneto. And just a couple notes for these high stakes leagues. Zay 2403 made it to the finals in 3 leagues. He had the highest score, which was a beast at 232, which is the highest score in all of Ballsville, all of the redrafts. Mr. Ben, even though he had some pretty low scores, did make it to 2 finals in high stakes. Could have been a lot better with some better scores. And then Ketting 22, he also made it to 2 finals and redrafts, so high stakes redrafts. So congratulations to all the semifinal winners. You guys are off to the finals. And like we said in the other, what Connor said earlier, please go and check out the wagering demos, the videos, the write-ups. It will definitely help you out when it gets to the wagering process. So that wraps it up for this show. I just want to say
Connor has something he'd like to say real quick, Scott.
Oh, go ahead, Connor. Sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to show people this right quick. This is a little like app thing on your phone. You just search it up. It's called The Lab by South Harmon. So if you're ever just like interested in like your own, you just want to know exactly how all your teams are doing, you can just go in here and it'll load all your leads. And you can basically just search up any name you want and it'll pull it up. It might take a second. It depends on how many leads you got. So it takes like you can search up your name, you can sort it by best ball, your lineup leads, and it basically puts your record in, your win percentage, your average points for, and average points, or actually not average, just your total points against, and then you can switch it around depending on what you want to do, and you can put in names however you want, and that way you don't have to, we were talking about it last night on the Guillotine Pod a little bit about how we did overall on our teams and stuff. That way you can just, look at it. You say, you had an average season or whatever through all your leads or whatever. You can Oh, got out. You can also sort it by points for, so you can see all the leads that you're first in points for. You can look at all your dynasties, just your average redraft, your best balls, any leads you want. You can just look at how you're doing overall in fantasy. So I think it's a pretty good tool if you ever just want to, you're just looking at, especially like best ball. You just sort by points for, see how many leads you're winning in. It's a pretty useful tool.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because I was actually looking for another platform to do something like that.
Hopefully one day we can actually add something like that to the Ballsville website where you just have all your Ballsville in there and you can sort it by whatever, how many, best balls you're in, how many dynasties you're in, how many redrafts you're in, how many triathlons you're going to be in, stuff like that. And you can just see your overall record. And then kind of like what you do with the score sheet, you have your score sheet of how many people are in playoffs, how many people, were entered into every league. You had JoJo that was in a bunch of mid-states. You had Mr. Been doing this. I think we were in Cash. We're basically in all the high states, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
You just look at all those, your leads or whatever, and see, you can sort them by however you want. There's a lot of different sorting options. Points for KTC. If you're a dynasty, KTC lover, you can sort by your average position on that. There's a lot of different things you can look at. So
sweet, and that's free, right?
Yep, free.
All right, that's awesome. I'll definitely be downloading that. So,
me too.
So just let you guys know, this will be my last podcast for the year. I will be going on a family vacation. Sean, Connor, they'll take over the reins for the rest of the year. I just want to say that it's been a real pleasure to do these podcasts. The feedback has been really good. I actually I was a little worried about the viewership and if we were getting enough viewers coming in. And I actually told Sean the other day that I was at a party in Ohio for my brother-in-law, and my sister-in-law has it loaded up on Facebook where every time we go live, it hits all her people that follow her. She has like 50,000 people following her because she's a cancer survivor. So I go to the party, and I had a couple people come up to me, and obviously they knew because of my sister-in-law. Probably told them, hey, that's my brother-in-law is a football guy. He does this podcast or whatever. But so they watched the podcast. So I had a couple guys come up to me, and they're like, hi. They introduced themselves. They're like, I watched your podcast. It was really informative. It was fun. You guys are funny. And I'm like, I didn't even know this guy. So I'm like, it made me feel good because I'm like, okay, so people like what we're putting out. So we got big things coming for next year. Sean's podcast is going to still be guillotine, but we're also going to probably transition to some triathlon. Once we get the triathlon going, we'll still be doing our normal Ballsville fantasy football show during the week. Obviously the scoring updates for you guys. We'll have that. And then in the off season, we're going to do some fun things like, favorite stadiums, maybe favorite uniform combinations, just little things. We'll be getting into probably a little bit more college stuff when the NFL season's over, getting into some college content, hopefully get JoJo on here. I know JoJo's a big Debbie guy. So we got a lot of content rolling in. Please let us know what you like about the pod, what we could improve on, because like I said before, this is your guys' show. We try to, we're not perfect, but what would make us perfect is the feedback that we get from you gamers. Any kind of feedback would really help us, because sometimes we're in the blind. We don't know if, is this going to be good content? Are they going to like it? The only thing we have to really follow is from viewership. So please like and subscribe to our podcast, give us comments, and please go to theballsvillegame.com. That is our flagship website. That is going to really be fine-tuned going into next year. The tools section with all the DFS and prop betting stuff is done really well. We're definitely going to win money this year. And hopefully eventually we'll start putting some articles in, start sits, and maybe eventually have a trade analyzer, something like that. So we have a lot of things in the work for 2025. But like I said, we Sean, Connor, all of us at Ballsville. We really appreciate you guys tuning in and checking out the pods. It gives us a sense of gratitude that we can give this content to you guys. So for my co-host Sean Slem, and for my other co-host, I'll call him a co-host now because he's about pretty much co-host Sean show, C-Bomb, Connor. Until after the first of the year, till I see you guys. You guys will be back on Friday. This gang will be back on Friday, and then Sean's pod on Monday. Until then, have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we are out.
That's a wrap.